I'm here with Danny Matthews from Dial M4 Media here in Melbourne, and we're going to talk all things live streaming, digital news content. It's all happening. I've used Danny for a number of years now, and we've done a lot of video shooting off iPhones and iPads, and being agile and getting it done and shooting a lot in one morning or one hit, and then being able to utilise that content over a period of time. Danny, why don't you give us a little bit of a background, what you do, where you've come from, what you're doing, and what you're doing now, because the live streaming thing is something I want to get right into as well.
You didn't tell me we were doing video today. I would have, got a haircut and dressed better and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, I got a haircut for it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Dial M4 Media. It's what I've said about. I come from a traditional media background, radio and television, and when the world started to change, which was very much when I came at a time when I was looking for jobs, and I just noticed how the cost cutting and everything that was there, not that necessarily everything had to be cheap, but just the way things were changing with the mobile devices, with what they could do. It's just that how that could be converted to just, rather than what people are doing, with shaking hands and on phones and doing a lot of amateurish stuff, what the new world technology could do for proper creation of content, be it packaged or be it live. So that's very much the track that I've gone now.
And when you say that, I mean, at this particular time, newsrooms were starting to shrink, but they still needed to fill the airwaves. They still needed news and content and stuff like that. So it's a matter of, is there a better way to do it, but also a way to get it done quicker, because it had to go up online now a lot quicker. So speed was of the essence, and obviously the old newsroom where you sent out the camera crew, and they still do that, of course, but the online side of things it makes it a little bit difficult for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And also, the speed, there is some arguments that some marketing or production companies put out that doing something quickly isn't good. But if you know what you're doing, you can actually do something and turn it around very, very quickly, or in the right hands, and it's very, very effective.
Yep.
And some people don't even know the difference.
And that's what we talk about quite a bit on the podcasts and on the blog and everything, is that there's times when you do need a schmick signature video, but if you're going to wait and do a schmick video every time with the huge budgets, A, it'll never get done, B, you'll never get it done in time, and there's room for the quick and dirty, there's room for the professional quick and dirty, and then there's room for the the longer form, more highly produced, and just to box everything into one or the other is probably not right today. So let's move towards the streaming side of things first, because I want to look at how, because you've been one of the early ones that I know in Australia that's grasped streaming from I'll come in and produce it for you. Most of the streaming that I've seen being done is people literally live streaming on Facebook with their phone, and that serves the purpose. But with companies and brands, they need to go up that next level. They don't want to be sitting there touching phones and working it out. And we've done a couple of jobs together, but why don't you walk us through how you can do it, because your setup is you've got up to 3 to 4 cameras, different angles, you're switching between the two. Walk us through of how it works, because we're now streaming used to cost so much to do. I did a streaming once and it was probably about 25 to 30 grand just to do it for one event, and now with the tools at our disposal we can do it a lot more cost effectively. So walk us through that. How does the streaming work, the equipment that you use, all of that sort of stuff?
So I had a few inquiries about doing live streaming, and it was, the couple of clients were not going to have huge budgets, and they didn't also want major productions. A lot of things I say with anything that I do is that we're not making Lord of the Rings. So there are the people in that market that can do that if that's what's wanted and if the money is there. But other than that, people want a professional job that's more than sufficient, and that doesn't have big OB trucks like in the old, the television setup, that don't have scores of people coming in with desk after desk after desk and cables, around everywhere. So with those couple of clients, they had very small budgets, but they wanted to go live.
Yep.
And they wanted to do it regularly. So I looked around and I saw all the expensive equipment that I could have bought, and then of course I would have had to have charged to try and recoup that. But then a friend of mine put me onto something that he'd seen at a trade show in Las Vegas, and he said, give this a go. I'm not going to tell you what it is though. And so I went and bought it from the US, and effectively within a backpack, from this hub, I can wirelessly connect up to 10 devices, be they normal cameras or phones.
Yep.
I can preload graphics, preload video, so I could throw to a video now if we wanted to, and then just go live, and I cut the cameras from an iPad, hook up all of the audio, and it takes, the cost effectiveness is, it can be a one-man show.
Yep.
And that's where a skill set does come in, where you do need to be able to manage all of that. I will admit that. It's like, also, not everyone thinks they can do stuff with phones, but they also can't, because you've got to have, there's a skill set that comes with it, and that's where I guess I'm lucky in that I've got that traditional.
You've been doing that for a little while, yeah.
So, yeah, and that's where it's a big factor. So we go in there and we've done 3 or 4 camera with phones and iPads, live streams to Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo. You can do it to any of those mainstream avenues.
And when you're saying you cut between, and having seen this in action, you got these multiple camera angles. It's not just the one straight on, but one's from the side. And if you've got we've done stuff where we've got a panel of 3 people, and then we can cut to the person talking, and then we can go to a 2-shot and then a 3-shot, and it's just like TV. But it's live, and I want to get into the power of live in a tick, but I think that it's just good for people to understand that this is all doable at a really cost-effective price today. And people will say, well, why should I do it live? Why can't I just record it and put it upload it whenever I can? And to which I always say, that's fine, you can do that. The bonus that I see with live, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, but the good thing about live is that there's no room for error. And I think sometimes that, we bang on about authenticity and stuff like that. You're going to be your most raw and authentic in front of a live camera. And if you trip up and you go over your words, or you knock the cup over and water goes everywhere, that's all part of it, isn't it? That's live television, and that's live video, and we like that because also it makes it a little bit more relatable. If you've got a CEO stumbling over their words but still getting it out there in the way they'd normally talk, and we just would feel this a little bit more of connection with people. What do you think?
We all don't have silver tongues, so we're all not perfect with everything we say, as I just demonstrated then. And that is the thing about being live. Some people can do it, some people can't. So there's a little bit of an admission that needs to be made there. Some people just aren't cut for it. But others can, and they're very, very good. And they're not necessarily. And you don't have to be, professionally television trained and all of that sort of stuff. It's a big part of it is being you. And that's what comes across. If you're not being you and you're trying to be someone else, as I know some really top line broadcasters, they don't be a copy, and the natural nature of that really comes across. Yeah,
I think the other part to do with live too, and what we've seen, we focus on Facebook with my clients. This gizmo you've got and there are restreaming tools out there. There's a whole plethora of stuff now that have all
you can
emerging.
Be as complicated as you like.
That's right. The more if you've got a big YouTube following, well then you'd probably do it more on YouTube, or try and do YouTube and Facebook, which would be the 2 big ones. Depends on where your audience is and what you're trying to do with it. But the more you could stream, as you said, across 5 channels, but it just gets complicated. It's best to keep it simple, and then you can put. What we do is with Facebook is we do it on Facebook first, you give us the video, and then we upload it to YouTube the next day. But the good thing with live is you're getting the interaction. I mean, it works when you want interaction.
The engagement's right there and then.
Yeah. So if you're not seeking engagement, then you've got to take that into consideration. I guess the other thing where live works is if there's news breaking and you want to be on top of it. So it's interest rates breaking, or there's some new legislation, or whatever your business is, but you want to be out first. Well, being live's the quickest way. The second quickest way is doing it and putting it straight up again. I guess the other part of that is, Danny, that when you're doing the live, and you've got people answering and asking questions, that again gets you closer to your audience. And so you're acknowledging them, you're answering their questions, which is transparency. That's where it works well, when there's commentary and the people are asking you questions. And when you can do that and talk to them, and it means you've got to have a computer there while you're doing it, which adds another layer of difficulty. But that's the beautiful part. And the thing is that's then social proof, showing that people are interested, they're asking questions, and that you're happily answering those questions, which provides utility, and you're educating. You're interested in them being there. Correct. So that to me is the nuance of live, is that interaction. Now, I've even seen some big companies, sports people, sports organisations do it as well. They don't necessarily always get the biggest audience at the time live, but the updraft is afterwards, and we know that at this point Facebook still loves its live video, so it gives you a bit of a kick along with the algorithm on that regard. So there's a couple of other little reasons why you go for live versus let's just set it up and then do it and edit it and put it straight up again. Yeah, and there was one particular client of yours that we've done regular live sessions for, and they had a test period of 3. They said, okay, we'll give it a go 3 times. Yep. And by the 3rd time, they were starting to build some engagement. They didn't just rely on the first, it didn't work this first time. Yep. That's it. Yep. And now, we're up to half dozen or something like that. Yep. So it's becoming a regular part of their content strategy. Correct. But also for a lot of their clients and prospective clients, it's becoming a regular thing that they engage with. Well, also what we're trying to do is show that they front up. So we're doing it a monthly, pretty much the same time every month. We've shifted the times itself, but the date is the first Thursday in the month. Trying to make it part of that programmatic viewing, I think, is an important thing to do. And now we're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it at 8 o'clock at night now, because we've tried it midday, we've tried it at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. There's just quite busy times for people to sit down for 20 minutes, an hour on it, and that's, I think 8 o'clock is people can, given the type of audience we want, they can put their feet up. But now we're sort of getting a couple of pictures back of people watching it on their TV, so they're Chromecasting or mirroring it through Apple TV. So that changes the concept of it. Is literally you're on the TV screen, so not necessarily being watched on a computer or on an iPad. So it's interesting though. So they're all the nuances around live that allow you to do. There's a little bit more pressure because it is live. But it gets done, it gets out of the way. There's no people saying, oh, can I go back and change that? Can you edit that out? No. Which you can do later. Of course you can. Of course you can. What I'm doing. A lot of things, when people go live, it's lost to Facebook there and then, or YouTube, or you can download it later, but it's never quite the same. But in this instance, we actually record the program that's going out as well. And it can also record every other source. Every source, like there's 4 cameras, it can record them separately. Yeah. So if we wanted to do something with it later, we could repackage something else again. So there's all of those options now that's out there, rather than just sitting in front of a phone and hoping it's right, and then it's out there, and that's the end of it. And here's the thing: that you can chop it up into, depending on what it's like and the quality, but you can chop it up into bite-sized 2-minute little bite-sized conversations within the broader conversation for social media. So there's a little bit of experimentation. What we're seeing now with this consistency with this one client is that we've got this. people are hanging around for a little bit longer each time, and that's the hardest thing, to get people hanging around. And when we put it on YouTube, it's up to about 18 minutes, 17, 18 minutes. People are watching it for, which I think, in today's day and age, that's quite a bit. So, it's the after effect, I feel, that's the bonus of it, but the live gives it its energy and its magic.
Yeah, exactly. And they're getting people to hang around because what they're doing is good. Because they're actually, and they break it down too, they're not assuming a lot of knowledge with their audience. So people who don't know what a particular acronym or a phrase means, they actually then go and explain it. So with that particular one's a 3-camera setup. So and it also gives, there are live streams, like when someone just sets the camera up and 3 people sit there, I actually look at it and I go, oh, this is boring, because it's just the one shot, the 3 of them.
Yep.
There's no variety, and with the cutting of cameras, and when one of them's holding the floor talking, and at least the other 2 aren't on it, or something like that. So there's just that small production factor which can make the visual appeal that much more. On the other side of it, you look, and one example that I use, and I hope we can name names, Major League Soccer in America. I'm fascinated that they are going live on Facebook. It's, when I see it, it's 1 p.m. on a Monday afternoon when it pops up for me. Then, so in the US, whatever time it is, whatever side of the country, and they're doing full television schmick, just the full thing, and they're just doing that live to Facebook.
Wow.
And that's all the television studio, all that sort of stuff. So you get a big organisation like that that's going to all of that trouble, and that it's just going. It's not a program that they've shown on ESPN or something like that, and then put it on Facebook. They're doing that specifically
directly to Facebook. Yeah.
And then even their number, and someone might correct, and we hope they do because it means they're watching. That their numbers at the live viewing aren't huge. Or from what I've seen anyway, they're not in the tens of thousands, not even in the thousands at times, but they're going to all of that trouble of doing it. A big organisation like that to engage with everybody through social media.
Yeah, and it'll be up for a while anyway, so in perpetuity. So
do something with it,
and no doubt they maybe throw a few dollars on it behind it to amplify it to reach their direct target audience. So
well, the other thing too is that there's a lot of countries that have restrictions on branding on television. For instance, in the UK, you can't have big signage for advertising like, say, we do in Australia.
No.
We sell everything we can in Australia.
We do.
But in the UK, you're not allowed to on television.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Didn't know that.
So, and with going out on social media, well, we can have those branding opportunities.
Look
like,
out.
for instance, whatever that's just on here. And there's another rule too, is, on television it was always rude to drink or eat, but here we are.
Excellent. Well, I'll give you a tick to be able to get that down. Danny, how can people find you? Dial M for Media. What's the website? .info. Yes, old school. What do they call it? The domain or whatever. Excellent.
Well, that's it. Information. That's pretty much.
It is. That's it.
It's and again, there again, that website will just tell you what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to wow the world with mega dollar graphics and swooshes and stuff like that. You just
it's all for digital news content, live streaming, shot on iPad and iPhone. Thanks very much.